Canada could be sitting on the biggest housing bubble of all time. That's according to one strategist who's warning that once it bursts, Canada could be thrown into a deeper recession.
A looming storm threatens the very foundation of the Canadian housing market, hinting at a major collapse before 2024. Uneasiness grips the country as the once strong housing market is now starting to shake because of a lot of pressure. The looming crisis has set off alarm bells, sending concern through the hearts of homeowners and investors alike. While all this is happening, the experts are trying to understand all the complicated things that have made the market close to breaking point. In this video, we will dive into the Canadian housing market and explore what's causing this problem. Canada is sitting on one of the largest housing bubbles of all time. This bubble has been getting bigger for more than 20 years because borrowing money has been easy and not that expensive. This means lots of people could get loans even if they couldn't pay them back easily. As a result, many people are finding it hard to buy a house because it costs so much. This is causing a huge panic that the bubble might burst and the housing market might crash, making things even harder for people. Some people hope that the situation will get better slowly and the housing market won't crash suddenly. But things are getting scarier because the cost of borrowing money is going up and there aren't as many jobs available. This makes it even tougher for people to buy houses and pay back their loans. The crazy increase in home prices started way back in the early 2000s when Canada made a ton of money from selling commodities. This made the value of the Canadian dollar go up, which isn't good for selling things to other countries because it made things more expensive. To tackle this, the Bank of Canada made borrowing money easier to try and stop the Canadian dollar from getting even stronger. Canada didn't want its money to become too strong, especially after the U.S. housing crash in 2008. Even though the Canadian and American economies were quite different, the Bank of Canada copied what the U.S. Federal Reserve did.
Canadian home prices have further to fall. That's the message of a new TD economic report. It's forecasting that average home prices could drop by as much as 21% before bottoming out in the second quarter of this year.
There wasn't much of a push to make borrowing money harder because prices for things didn't go up a lot. So, with interest rates staying low for a long time, the cost of homes just kept on going up. For Canadians looking to buy a new home, it's becoming really hard because houses have become so expensive compared to how much people earn. Last year, the comparison of house prices to what people make reached levels never seen before, showing just how costly it has become to buy a house. The Bank of Canada's measure of how affordable homes are has also gotten much worse, mainly because houses are crazy expensive and the cost of getting a mortgage has gone up a lot recently. The high prices of homes are a big concern, but things get even scarier when you look at how much debt Canadian households are dealing with. The money they owe for mortgages is nearly 140% of what they make. And when you add up all the other debts, it's a huge 180%. That's like 50% more than what the U.S. had before the big money trouble in 2008. This makes it more likely that people might have to sell their homes even if they don't want to. And some might not be able to pay back what they owe, which could create big problems for the whole financial system. Lots of people who own homes in Canada are finding it hard to keep up with their mortgage payments. The amount of money Canadians are spending to pay off their mortgages has gone up a lot, way more than what Americans had to deal with when things were really bad for them. Canadians don't have the same option as Americans to get a mortgage with a fixed interest rate for a long time, which would help them if the interest rates went up. More and more homeowners in Canada are having trouble paying their mortgages when the interest rates go up. Big Canadian banks are saying that around 1/5 of the mortgages they gave out now have a problem where the payments don't even cover the interest. So the banks have to increase the total amount owed and make the time to pay it back even longer. Also, about 1/4 of the mortgages now have a longer time to pay back, more than 30 years, which is not usually offered by lenders. If the mortgage rates don't go down, Canadian banks and other places that lend money will have to deal with even more people not being able to handle their mortgages. This will get even worse if not many people have jobs. The housing problem in Canada has become really serious this year. A report that came out in June from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation says that by 2030, more than 22 million places to live will be needed so that everyone in Canada can afford a home. That's 3.5 million more homes than what they were planning to build before.
It's really hard, and it is imposing real pain on a lot of Canadians and Canadian families. Absolutely understand that, and our view is we want to get to the end of this road as quickly as possible.
What makes the Canadian housing market an outlier is its consumers, whose ability to borrow and spend may be nearing its limit. Canadians spend a bigger share of investment capital on housing than businesses. Business investment, in this case, is a combination of non-residential structures, machinery and equipment, and intellectual property.
This shortage is happening at the same time that a lot more people are coming to live in Canada. This is making both Canadians and the immigrants worried. They're afraid that because there are so many more people, there aren't enough houses. So the prices are going up a lot, and it's becoming impossible for many people to buy a house. The biggest problem in the housing crisis is affordability. Houses are too expensive for most people. The Canadian Real Estate Association says that in July of 2023, the average cost of a home in Canada was about $668,000, which is 6.3% higher than what it was a year before. This is just too much money for a lot of Canadians and the people who are coming to live in Canada. In places like Ontario and British Columbia, where many new people decide to live, the average price of a home is even higher. In Ontario, it's over $850,000. And in British Columbia, it's even more, at over $960,000. 15% of Canadians think that people moving to Canada from other countries are the reason why houses are becoming more expensive and too pricey for others to buy. But the Royal Bank of Canada says something different. They think that the reason there aren't enough houses is because it costs a lot more to build them now. The price of building materials has gone up by 51% since the pandemic started in 2020. This is because there aren't enough skilled workers. The materials needed to build houses are hard to find and cost more, and the overall cost of making things has gone up. The cost of workers is higher because there are lots of job openings in the construction field. Many skilled workers who build houses in Canada are getting older and retiring, so there aren't enough people to do the work, which makes it harder for companies to find workers. People who could work in this field have more choices, so they want to get paid more. If there were more skilled workers, there would be more people competing for these jobs, which might bring down the cost of building. In 2024, the prices of houses in Canada are expected to drop by about 10% because the economy is going to get worse and might even go into a recession. Even though talk about a recession sounds bad because things are so down, the Bank of Canada might decide to keep the interest rates at 5% until the middle of 2024. Currently, the Canadian economy is almost going into a mild recession, and things are not expected to get better until 2024. Because of this, the prices of houses are likely to go down even more, around 10% more at the beginning of next year. However, according to Mortgage Professionals Canada and Oxford Economics, even though the prices of houses will go down a lot in the next few years, the total value of all the houses in Canada should be back to what it is now by the end of 2027. Even if people are really worried and sad about the thought of a recession, even a small one, it could mean that the economy has slowed down and that the rates for borrowing money might not go up for a long time. The Bank of Canada will probably decide to keep its main interest rate at 5% until the middle of 2024. This means that the average rates for mortgages will stay at around 6.1% for the rest of 2023, and then slowly come down to a normal level by early 2027. Because it costs a lot to borrow money right now, there won't be as many new houses finished in the next year. The number of new houses being built will go down by 21% next year. After that, the recovery will happen slowly, with a small growth of 5.7% in 2025 and then a bigger jump in 2026. Housing starts, which means the number of new houses being built, are not expected to grow much for the rest of 2023. This slow growth in building new houses is going to be one of the slowest in the past 10 years in all parts of Canada. Quebec will probably have the biggest decrease in the number of new houses being built, followed by the Atlantic provinces and the prairies. For the next few years, the number of new houses being started will be more than what's usually seen in the past in the Atlantic provinces, the prairies, and Ontario, while the other parts of Canada will still have a slower growth in building new houses. Even though some people hope that the housing market will slowly become more normal, history shows that when things are not good, it's hard to stop them from getting even worse. This is a slippery slope of hope. The good outcome now depends on the interest rates for mortgages going down a lot and not having a recession for a long time when not many people have jobs. But because prices are going up a lot now, it's harder to make this happen. Some people think that if more people come to live in Canada, there will be more people who want to buy houses. The Canadian housing market is in big trouble and might collapse before 2024. With prices going up, lots of debt, and not enough houses for everyone, things are looking pretty shaky. The future is uncertain and full of challenges, so it's important to be prepared. Keep watching our channel for more updates on this housing crisis. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more videos on economic insights.